There are so many alternative ways to make money these days, and one that really interests me is Peerspace. So if you're not familiar with Peerspace, it's essentially Airbnb for office spaces, studios, and event spaces. But instead of being rented out by the night, spaces are rented out by the hour. There's everything on here from warehouses, rooftops, backyards, people's apartments and homes, and really cool studio spaces. Over the past year, I have considered getting my own office space, but it always just felt like a waste of money to spend on that rent. You know, you're not building equity into anything. But when I found Peerspace, I started to rethink that. This made me think maybe it is possible to fully pay for an office space by just partially renting it out. So today I talked to a few different Peerspace owners on the business of renting out their studios.
This is the Catty Studio, right in here. There's a big table for everyone to sit at or set up gear at.
This is Katarina. She has been a Peerspace host for 2 years. Her space has been so successful that she's actually opened a second one in the same building in downtown LA. She rents her studio out, which completely covers the rent, while still giving her time to use the space for her own personal projects. So let's take a look at what has made her spaces so successful.
This one I went for like a really cute vibe. So my clothing brand is called Kittany. I make like sleepwear and cute little like summery dresses and lingerie and stuff like that. And so it's like really like sweet and cute. And so I wanted this studio to be kind of like representative of the brand. And so that's where like the design for it came.
What I think is really cool is Katarina was able to design the space exactly how she wanted it. So she has a space that's perfect for her projects, but also makes a side income.
There's a big table for everyone to sit at or set up gear at, stuff like that. And then a little changing room with curtains for the model. It's like very pastel colors, very fun. I love like that like 90s trend. A lot of people are buying like 90s like pastel furniture where it's like all cute and curvy. And then in here is kind of like the white area. This is really great for doing like an e-commerce shoot. It's just like a giant white space. So you can shoot white background against this wall. And there's also like this really fun little cloud wall over here.
The space does well because it's minimal enough to be really versatile, while also having a style that's not plain, so you have some cool backdrops to shoot with. This space rents out for $60 an hour, and while I don't have exact profit numbers for this space, you can tell by the number of reviews it has done quite well on Peerspace.
So do you end up making a profit on top of the rent?
Yeah, I do now. It took a while to get rolling, especially now when I did my second studio, which only opened a couple months ago. It took like at least a month or so before bookings started rolling in. Whereas when I opened this one up about a year and a half ago, this one like immediately booked out and stuff like that, and it seemed a lot easier for it to get going.
It is important to note that this is not completely passive income, and with any peer-to-peer rental, there can be issues with how people treat your space.
I did have one person leave it in complete disarray. Yeah, everything was moved around. The seamless backdrops were all tangled together. I had to like rip them off and cut them and fix it. It took me a half an hour just to fix the backdrop. That happens from time to time, and it's just something that I have to expect.
Gavin is a newer Peerspace host with big goals to expand.
My goal for doing Peerspace is to create residual income for myself because I'm a full-time freelancer and there's no like 401k or retirement plan when you're a freelancer. And so I want to take this space and show that to an investor and then buy a really big building and create 5 to 8 spaces and do it on a bigger scale.
Gavin took this blank 500 square foot basement studio, and with some paint, DIY projects, and secondhand furniture, he was able to transform it into a space that can be used for multiple backdrops and get some really creative shots. Here's a look at some photos that have been shot in this studio.
And when we get in here, we have my cloud wall that is made out of pillow stuffing, and this is just translucent rainbow paper with double-sided tape. We have a vanity mirror right over here so people can get ready. I thought it was super important to kind of be able to do your makeup and refresh your face if you want to do multiple looks here. Right over here I have sequin curtains that kind of sparkle off the light if you point the light towards them. And we have the backdrop here, so you can take the backdrop and move everything here and it just became a plain white background. I wanted there to be multiple different sets, multiple different areas, but I'm only working with 500 square feet.
This studio was furnished on more of a budget than the first studio, but that certainly has not deterred bookings.
So this space has only been open since last Wednesday, so I think I just hit my week mark today, and I have 5 bookings this week. 2 of them have already happened, and I had 3 bookings last week. So total, I've already had 8 people book it, and I just got another one this morning. So the space is $1,300 a month. I just upped my prices on Peerspace, and so I started it for the first 2 weeks at $35 an hour, 2-hour minimum, and now it's $45 an hour, 2-hour minimum. But eventually, I want it to be, after fees, it would be like $125 per booking, and then I would only need 2 bookings a week to pay for the whole space.
With the demand he's already getting, if he wanted to, it would totally be possible to profit on top of the rent. But with Peerspace, often that's not the main goal of the hosts.
And if I do get 5 bookings a week, then it's like, okay, then that's just a cherry on top. You know, I never came into the space trying to make profit. My goal is to have it pay for itself and be a proof of concept to open up a bigger space.
And what's cool about Peerspace is that almost any space could be a Peerspace, not just offices and studios, but anyone can rent out their house or apartment to make some side income. This is Amra and Devi. They are freelance content creators that wanted a space that they could shoot at. So they turned this plain apartment into an amazing studio space that they also rent out.
So a friend of mine, she's been doing Peerspace for like 3 years. So like she kind of inspired me to start a business like that.
It can be difficult to convince landlords to allow you to do Peerspace. So they asked Amra's old landlord that he already had a good relationship with if they could make a Peerspace in one of the apartments.
I just went to the landlord. I'm like, hey, I want to start my own business. And he didn't seem to mind. But that's usually not the case with a lot of places.
Once they got the go-ahead from the landlord, they went about transforming the space to make it much more appealing to film in. So here's again a look at the before, and now let's take a look at the after.
This is the living room, or this is the main area. We got the couch. This is a made table. My friend made it at his shop. And then you have the kitchen, which is very, very cute. We spent a lot of time trying to design the floors. It wasn't like that. And I think this is probably my favorite spot in the whole studio. We put a lot of work, and I think this is the only space where we did not know what we wanted to do with. Like, it was kind of like came as we go.
This being an apartment, they have a full kitchen, and then going through the little hallway is the studio area.
This is more of the photography studio for YouTube.
I actually rented this space myself and got some really cool shots here.
And we have the sunset lights that's very famous on TikTok and stuff.
So you can see they did a really great job creating backdrops and interesting looks within about 1,000 square feet. So they've made it really appealing to rent out.
So this place we pay $1,900, but everything is included, like utilities, so we don't have to pay utilities.
And they rent their space out for $49 an hour with a 2-hour minimum. So after the Peerspace fees, they're making at least about $80 per booking.
Or like how much do you
profit
think you'll generate from Peerspace? Like, do you think it'll pay the rent and then some, or are you just trying to like partially?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you asked us like 3 weeks before, I would have said like probably not even making half. We started 3 weeks ago and we managed to make about 10 bookings. In 9 days. So far, we haven't been long enough for us to like see if we're capable of doing that, but there is very strong signs that we'll be able to cover rent and make maybe a little bit of profit.
All in all, I think what we can learn here is Peerspace is a great way to potentially have an office space paid for by renters and maybe make some profit on top of that. But it's really only worth it if you want to use the office space yourself. If your goal is only to make money, then this probably isn't the best way to do that. That being said, I have noticed quite a few hosts out there with many listings and hundreds of reviews. So it's very possible there are people that do make a good amount of money on here. It's also most likely a full-time job to manage all of that. So after doing all this research, I feel undecided if I really would want to get an office space and make it into a Peerspace, because the reality is, unless you pay someone to manage it, you're pretty much on call and would need to spend quite a bit of time cleaning up after people and checking them in and out. I think it's a cool idea if you already have a really photogenic office space or even your house. I've heard of people renting out their apartments and their houses for a few hours. In fact, this video was shot in a Peerspace that was very clearly somebody's actual apartment they lived in. The giveaway being that there were 3 cats that also lived there and joined during my rental, which I did not mind. But this apartment was styled in such a cool way, they were able to rent it out for $80 an hour. With so many YouTubers and freelance content creators, it seems like there is a lot of demand if you have a really good space. Oftentimes, the most difficult part is just finding a landlord that will allow you to have people coming in and out so much. So if you're interested in making your own Peerspace, here is some advice from these Peerspace owners.
Do you have any advice to people looking to start their own Peerspace?
Yeah, and it would be like the same advice to anybody starting a business, which is do the math, make a spreadsheet, think about like what you need, and then work backwards from there.
I think we just need to go with the gut. I promise you, like if you have a good place and you promote it well and you're nice, you'll get rented and you'll make your money.
Getting it off the ground takes a lot of work, and I think that having that personal experience for your bookings of making sure that they have a good experience and greeting them at the door and making sure that their booking was good is key to getting your space on the map. And so I would just make sure that you have the time to do that and have the time to make sure everybody has a good experience.
Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Comment down below which one you would most want to shoot in. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!